Roman actually doesn't have a camera.
Okay, cool. We're
How's it
recording.
going, guys? Nice to meet you guys. I'm sure Zach introduced me already. I'm his buddy from Mac and landscaping. Yeah. But yeah,
Cool.
nice to meet you. Glad to be
You're
here.
welcome. Okay, Elena, you're up.
Okay.
Wait,
I
no.
guess
Or is it Zach? Wait,
Zach, why don't you introduce me?
yeah. Well, why don't you introduce your friends?
Yeah, for sure. So Elena, like we met kind of first year when she was at Mac before she transferred to Western. And then I saw like kind of the stuff she was doing with SL, and like I do videography on the side as well. So like I do the landscaping, and then I have my engineering like salary job I do throughout the week.
Mhm.
So I kind of just reached out to do like some videography work for her and see if she was interested. And she was interested originally, and then I ended up going to an event just as like a participant to see like what everything was about. And yeah, she sold me. Her and Mike and everyone got to meet the whole team and got to interact with all the products, and
Mhm.
it was just a really good experience. So yeah, that's kind of like how I got involved with this and how Elena kind of reached out to me. But yeah, so it's just really Roman and Matt that I have here. I'm not sure where the other guys are, but yeah, so I kind of told you already about Roman and kind of my relationship with him. And then Matt, I've known forever since high school, and his dad actually got me my job, my engineering job. So there's a connection there, and I actually do his dad's house as landscaping as well. He's one of my clients for that. So lots of ties
cool.
there. So of course I got to get him involved somehow, or at least try.
Zach's the best landscaper out there. What up, guys?
All right. Good to know. Good to know.
Okay, awesome.
Okay, well,
now, but I'm here.
right on. Okay, cool. And then we got Shamar. So I met Shamar last weekend.
Mhm. Yeah, and I met Shamar through Zach, so that's how we're tying all of this together. I don't
Okay,
know,
so wait,
Shamar,
Zach, how do you know Shamar?
So me and Shamar went to high school together, and like we played basketball together. And I did videography and photography for like a long time for the program. So it's called King's Christian Collegiate. It's in Oakville. So I did videography there for a while, and I was always shooting Shamar like videos, photos, all that stuff. So we kind of
I can
got a
totally
connection
see
through
that.
Yeah.
Look at that face, man. He's an easy person to take photos of.
Oh my God.
But yeah, no. So we both love ball. Like we even outside of school, we'd play basketball and stuff, and that was like kind of how we connected.
And
Yeah.
Shamar, did you invite Tamishar? Tamisha? I'm not sure if
Yeah.
I'm messing that up. How do you pronounce that?
Yeah. So I invited Tamisha and
Tamisha.
Mayo.
Gosh, duh.
Yeah. I think his name here is like his last name, so it's Adesanya, but his
Okay.
name's Mayo.
Cool.
Very cool.
All right. And you know them how?
I know them from from IM Academy, like the other network marketing company that I was in.
Okay.
So like they were one of my first partners that joined with me.
Okay,
Yeah.
wonderful. Welcome,
Yeah.
everyone.
Yeah. Welcome, guys. Okay, so this call is really just to help facilitate your learning and your understanding of what it is that we're doing, what we're building, how this might work for you. I'm here to facilitate your learning further, the same way that I did for Zach, the same way that I did for Shamar. And one of the best ways that I can do that is by connecting you guys to these two legends, my Uncle Mike and Ben, two individuals who were highly, and still to this day, are highly influential in, when I was starting out my own business and my own growth in the business. My uncle has built a business for himself with Nikan over the last 29 years, coming on 30 this month, right? So he has become, and for a very long time has been, one of the top income earners in the company. He's built an organization for himself that has generated over $1 billion in sales, $1 billion in volume, impacting thousands of lives in 20 different countries. So his impact has been far and wide. And they say if you want to achieve heightened levels of success, surround yourself with the people who are living the way that you want to live and learn from them. So that is exactly what we're doing here. That's what these two individuals have to offer. Ben has a very unique story as well, coming from more of the corporate side of the company and then shifting into the independent distributorship and being a consultant and they'll get into their story and their connection there as well. But really, they're here for your benefit. And you will walk away with some value having listened to both of these individuals. So with that, I'll let you take it away, maybe, Zeal.
Thank you, Elena. I got to tell you, literally on the 19th of this month will be my 30th year anniversary with Nikken. That's kind of freaky, even for me.
It's huge.
I think it's an accomplishment, yes, to be able to survive 30 years at anything. But the thing is, I have not survived. I have thrived. And what's so amazing is to be on this call. I know you guys might think that's a put on, but it's not. To be able to be given the opportunity to give birth to what I consider could possibly be the single greatest movement we've ever experienced in Nikken. You know, companies, great companies like Apple started when Nikken started. They don't go away. They get better, they get stronger, they get more agile, they get prepared for what's to come. They set the tone for what's to come. And then when they become a leader in their own right, everybody sort of follows them. And Nikken has been a company that's pioneered a concept primarily out of Asia when they started in Japan. And this concept has slowly made its way into the Western Hemisphere. I had the privilege of learning about it, you know, way back in the day. I don't know if you know this, but acupuncture at one point in time, nobody did acupuncture. Nobody believed in acupuncture. It took 30 years in the West for acupuncture to be acknowledged. That's how long it took for the West to open itself up to a tradition that's ancient. Well, we're kind of like that. The company that has been slowly but surely making its way into an environment that has been slowly but surely shifting its way more and more and more towards what it is that we have to talk about, what it is that we have to offer, an alternative to the Western Hemisphere's approach to life and living, the Western Hemisphere's approach to health care, more predominantly sick care. And so this influence that starts from a company in Japan born in 1975, I was able to be introduced to in 1991, December 91. That's why it's going to be 30 years. It was, I think, the 15th of December. So I just want to backtrack. So you kind of get a story as to how I've arrived at this moment in time. Because if you would have told me in December 15th of 1991, when I was invited to my friend's living room to learn about this magnet that's going to change the world, I would have laughed, and I would have told, and if you would have told me that I'd be doing this 30 years later, I'd have told you, you're like nuts. So here I am, not only sitting on my rear and just relaxing, which I could certainly cruise into the future with no hesitation and no trouble financially, but to be on the tip of my toes, on the leading edge of my chair, because I see what's possible and what's coming through you. I'm just super excited. Anyway, so I was invited to a friend's home. Now, backtrack where I was in my life at that time. I had graduated aerospace engineering from U of T. I thought that's, if I was going to get an education, I'd do in something that I was actually interested in. And I was interested in Star Trek. And the closest thing to Star Trek on planet Earth at that time was the space shuttle. And the closest thing to the space shuttle at that time was the aerospace program at U of T. So that's kind of how I found myself in that venture. I wanted to be Captain Kirk. But second year university, I was starting to produce Heartbreak, got me to start writing and producing music, original music, and it caught somebody's attention. Next thing I know, I get a recording contract with Elena's father, my now brother-in-law, who was then my sister's boyfriend, a keyboardist, and he and I wrote music, got a recording contract, started producing music, and we were under contract. We thought that was going to be it. That was how we were going to make our name and our life and everything, live like the rich and famous through music. Well, that's not how it went. In Canada at the time wasn't the best time to be an artist, not like today. And we certainly didn't have the internet or anything to be self-produced. So we were really at the whim of whoever was running the show, whoever wrote the checks. So 2 years into that, pre-production, things came to a grinding halt. I found myself not knowing what to do to reposition myself, and ended up working for a friend of mine as an electrician. He was building a small electrical contracting company. There I am. Now I'm an electrician. Not because I was going to make a career of it, just to make ends meet for the summer. He was a bass player. He said, I'd he'd put me in contact with some of his contacts and whatever. Long story short, I'm an electrician, not for 2 months, not for 3 months, but for almost 3 years. Now I'm building his company. I'm running 3 crews. That it was just me and him day one. And then here we have 3 crews on the ground building stuff. And I'm running those crews, helping my friend become financially successful. I'm just a laborer at the end of the day, working 14 hours a day, 6 days a week, breaking my back until literally breaking my back. I'm involved in a rear end collision. My back sustains a lower lumbar strain, and now starts the next phase of my life, where not only am I not living the life that I want, pursuing the dream that I want to pursue, but now I'm having to deal with physiotherapy, chiropractic care, and massage therapy every other day in somebody's office. And that was a 1.5 years of that, and nothing helped. Every day was miserable. And it's pretty hard to think of the future and be upbeat and optimistic when you're just completely exhausted at the end of the day, and you have, a back that's screaming at you. So when I got this phone call, like you did, out of nowhere, from somebody you know and trust, maybe respect, and they said, hey, I think I've come across something. In this case, they said, I think I found something that can help your back, because they knew my situation. And I thought, okay, whatever, and nothing to do. So I got in my car, 10 minutes away, went to see my friend, and he shows me this little thing, gold colored, about the size of a credit card, literally flexible, and it has the words Niken written on it. And he says, here, put it on. I'm like, well, what is it? It says it's a magnet. Just put it on where it hurts. I'm like, well, it hurts everywhere. But he says, well, we centered it on my back, and I tuck it in my pants. This is just a tiny, imagine, it's not going to fit very much. So I put it in my pant, and we start watching a video, because apparently that's the video that came to explain it all. And I was introduced to Niken, this multinational, multi-billion-dollar giant in Japan that had been expanding into countries primarily in Asia, then just recently into the United States, looking at maybe coming into Canada, literally hitting $1 billion faster than the IBM, faster than General Motors, being recognized by the Japanese Ministry of Health for its advancement in preventive health. This company was like a showcase company. Nobody had ever heard of it. I hadn't heard of it, but then who was I at the time anyway to have heard of anything? So it sounded incredible, sounded amazing. People were excited. People were making money. They were talking about this product like it was the best thing since sliced bread. And you would have thought, great marketing piece, except for one thing. My back stopped hurting in 15 minutes for the first time in 1.5 years. And now all of a sudden I couldn't ignore that I was now feeling something that I hadn't felt in a long time, relief. So I thought, is it possible? Like, could I have placeboed myself? Could I have psyched myself into this as a healing or whatever? I don't know. But all I knew is something was different. And this thing was promising to be able to change the world of health through this advancement in technology that dates way back into the ancient Egyptians. So I'm like, okay, well, I took some information home, read up on it. My dad was having a heck of a time with his sciatica, limping around the house in agony, could not move. Every movement made him wince. And so I thought, if this was something I psyched myself out on, maybe I can try it on him and see if it really works. Because I wouldn't tell him anything. I didn't tell him about a business opportunity, nothing. So we literally put this thing on my dad's back. 2 nights with this thing on my dad's back. He's calling me from work, asking me if I can get some more for his friends at work, because his back is normal. He has no problems with range of motion, no aches, no discomforts. And I'm like, this is like right out of Star Trek. If anybody's ever watched that thing, these guys were using stuff on people, and 5 seconds later, everybody feels great. This is what it seemed like. I was like, this is like literally an episode in Star Trek, and I'm living it. So I was so excited about what I was experiencing that I felt in my heart, this was real. It was authentic. And I remembered something I heard on the video 2 nights earlier. It was like, I heard it in my head. The guy said on the video, you can sell just about anything to anybody. They might like it. They might tell somebody about it. But when you can take away someone's pain, they'll tell everyone about it. And that's exactly what my father was doing. So he was the proof that I was looking for, that what I had seen on that video from Japan was real, that this was authentic. Well, anyway, that was 30 years ago, guys, this month. What happened next? I decided in 48 hours that I would give this thing a go. I figured if I could make a few $1,000s, I was making almost $3,000 a month working as an electrician those hours. I figured I can't do this. I cannot go back into my career in music the way I'm going. So I needed a way out of what I was doing. I just saw Niken as a bridge. If I could make $2,000, $3,000, $5,000 a month, that would be like, wow. And I could then do that on a part-time basis and then start pursuing my music career and not be broke in the process. That was my thinking. I didn't expect what would happen next happen. I started introducing this to people who I thought were smarter than me, had a business background that I didn't have, sales or marketing background that I didn't have. I just figured if I could put the right people together, surround myself with the right people, then maybe they would know what to do with this. And then I would be able to ride on their coattails. Well, it turns out that's exactly what happened. There were some smarter people than me, business people who had some credibility, had some influence. And the next thing I know, I'm chasing this thing and it's just going way ahead of me. I was able to, in 1 month's time, completely replace my income as an electrician, dwarf my income as an electrician, quite honestly. And that gave me the option to get involved in this more wholeheartedly and pursue this as a plan B, maybe a plan A. In the meantime, as I started to then think about how I might pursue my future, well, it just kept going. And I became so passionate about what I was experiencing, because when I started to see what these products were doing on people, man, if you care about people, you're going to witness things that you're going to feel really proud about, that you had a small hand in making that possible. You're going to see lives change, tears fall. I mean, it's just, it was something that I did not expect. And it was something that I didn't expect I would fall in love with. And so even though I saw Niken A as a plan A, or excuse me, a plan B, it became a plan A, and then it became a passion. And like I said, it's been 30 years, $1 billion in business plus in those 30 years, tens of millions of dollars in income, and people around the globe who right now are having a better quality of life, not just based on the products, but because they now have their personal freedom back. And you consider where we are at in the world at this time. So now I just want to put this into perspective. This is my story, and the people I brought this to are people my age and older, 57. So I'm the guy who helped pioneer the introduction of Niken to the baby boomers in Canada. And in all that time and all that effort, our marketing percentage was maybe 1%. And Ben was formerly corporate, so he can tell you whether my numbers are right or wrong. But I think we penetrated, maybe if we did, 1% of the market has ever heard of Niken in North America, in the Canadian market especially, and in my demographic, which means Gen X, Gen Y, Gen Z know nothing about this. So when my daughter, my other daughter, and my niece came to me just before the summer this year and said, you know, we've been looking at things out there and nothing lines up with the kind of quality of life you live and your sense of fulfillment and purpose. We want to do Niken. That to me was like, what? Holy cow, that's like a dream come true. That's like a new lease on life. I get to do this all over again. Only now I get to do it with the internet, with social media, and with a young crowd that has a lot more smarts going for them than I did when I was their age, because they were raised in this modern age. So I'm super jazzed about what's going on. Really appreciative of Zach putting this call together, Elena putting this call together, Shamar putting this call together. And I want to introduce you to Ben. Ben is somebody who I have the utmost respect for. He has a perspective not only in the network marketing industry from an industry point of view, and he'll tell you what he's served in our industry. So if you've got any questions or doubts or concerns that, oh my God, it's network marketing, trust me, he'll knock them all down, because what you will understand is the people who don't know what they're talking about are saying those things. Because nobody in their right of mind wouldn't trade places with me in terms of my quality of life and my lifestyle in a heartbeat if they knew what it was like to be me and live the life and the lifestyle that's promised from this industry. Put that together with Niken, he's had his experience both at the corporate level of Niken as not only the president of Nikken in the European market, he was then given the reins of Nikken Global. And you would think that somebody in that position who's got the, the red carpet and, that corporate, nice, cushy corporate situation wouldn't just simply ride on that. No, he saw more. He saw more because he's seen both sides of the equation, and he wanted to step into the field and make a real impact, which, if to be honest, was super intelligent, because if you know the kind of money that you can make in the field, you would never take a corporate job. So I think it was a really good business move. And I think he's smiling because it certainly has been a really good business move. But having Ben as somebody to work with and partner with, he and I are like the dynamic duo. We love doing stuff together. We love creating marketing and promotional materials. And yeah, we're here to serve. We're here to help anybody who's interested in gleaning what you could glean. Ellen, I think you said at the beginning, just surrounding yourself with people who have lived or living what it is that you're after, to glean from that information, to be able to internalize that information, put it into your own space. That could save you so much time. It's a life hack. If you listen to all of the great stories in any industry, in any business, they'll all tell you they had mentors, they had coaches, they had people they worked closely with who were able to help them and guide them so that they could circumvent many of the pitfalls that often cause people to lose their shirts in business. So what we have with Ben is somebody who is incredibly articulate. He's incredibly respected. He's an author, best-selling author. Actually, your book was what on the New York Times last year?
Number one.
Number one. Hello, guys. You're on a call with a New York Times best-selling author, and he's giving up his time tonight, and will continue to do that. You put 2 cents in, he'll put 2 cents in. And I'm not talking about financial, I'm talking about effort, energy, intention. So when you have access, don't take it for granted, is all I can say. And I certainly don't take my time with Ben for granted. So Ben, why don't you tell him a little bit about your story and why you're here?
Sure. Thank you very much, Mike. I want to, before I share my story, just emphasize what a thrill it is for me to be able to work with Mike. He is genuinely a very, very dear friend of mine, as well as a business partner. We've traveled to loads of countries around the world. But one thing that I love about Mike, there's a couple of things, is first of all, the absolute sincerity of his heart and his intentions in the way that he partners with people, builds, and believes in this business. And that is huge. It's important when you're looking for an opportunity like this to partner with the right company, so that you've got the security with the right product, the right compensation plan, the right direction strategically moving forward. But in addition to that, you want to be able to partner with the right team. And having someone like Mike at the head of this team, you've got Eleanor as well. And she's fantastic in what she's accomplished in such a short period of time in building this team. I think it's just so impressive. But I can see why Mike's so excited about what lies ahead here, because Eleanor and Sophia are doing some incredible things in building this business. So yeah, Mike, and second to that, I want to emphasize as well, Mike working with Nikken, partnering with Nikken for 30 years is a major milestone. It's, this demonstrates that this isn't a fad or a trend. If you're jumping into something that's popular for the moment, then it will not be popular down the road. Yeah, that gives you a short window of opportunity. Mike demonstrating that he's got 30 years of experience here shows that there is longevity in the opportunity. If you want something that's going to last you throughout your life, you've come to the right place. In addition to that, I know a couple of you were on the GoPro event over the weekend, this past weekend. What you would have seen there would be some of the top performers in their companies. Mike represents one of the top 0.01% of achievers in our industry, not just in Nikken, in our industry. And for him to have gathered or earned more than $20 million in his lifetime with Nikken, which is phenomenal. He's done it all with one company. He's not jumped from one to the other and kind of piggybacked opportunities to make it work. He's done it with one place. That's huge. And that is very, very rare. So what you've got here is not just a top industry performer and literally a legend, as Eleanor said, in the truest sense of the term, but he's done it with one company, which makes it even rarer. So Mike, we've got to do something to celebrate 30 years. I know that's coming up soon, but that's a huge milestone. So we've got to do something. Frustratingly, as virtual as we all have to live right now with COVID and what have you, but we've got to do something to celebrate that. That's big. So my story's a little different. I've been with Nikken I joined in 2011. My background was always working on the corporate side. So I joined Nikken as their European sales director, became their managing director for Europe, and then became global president based out of California. Prior to Nikken, I'd worked with two multi-billion-dollar companies in senior executive roles, Amway and Melaleuca, if you've heard of either of them. Amway is kind of the granddaddy of network marketing. It's the oldest, biggest company around in this space. And in addition to that, I was able to sit on the board of directors for our trade association in the UK and on the CEO council for our trade association for Europe. And Europe, being on that trade association there, represented about 43 billion euros in annual sales that we had responsibility of governing and shepherding, so to speak. So, it was us in that council that determined who was able to participate in the trade associations, and we helped to monitor and regulate and what have you, the best practices and kind of set the standards there. So I've had some great experiences from that perspective, commercially, in working in companies literally that have taken me now to about 30 different countries on business assignments around the world. And what I'm most grateful for actually is a moment of crisis that I had prior to joining Nikken. And I'll tell you why this was so important. When I was in Amway, I was the general manager for the UK and Irish markets. And one day we got a knock on the door from the government saying, we don't like how you operate and it's our intent to shut you down. Well, you can imagine the panic that company felt. The UK market was the second oldest international market for this business. It was almost as old as I was. I joined, when I joined as general manager, I was in my late 20s, and we had distributors there that had been around since I was about 4. So it had been around for quite some time. But when you get confronted with a situation like that, and there have been some companies in the past that have had some tough times with regulators and what have you, what that did for me when I suddenly had to sit down with forensic accountants in my office. Yeah, I'd heard of forensic scientists, if you've ever watched CSI, that go to the crime scenes and investigate what's going on there. I had forensic accountants coming through my business, investigating and uncovering everything that they could on the business financially to understand it and to challenge it and to dislike it. They had a deliberate agenda. They didn't want to like it. And they had a success rate in going to court of shutting companies down. Their success rate was about 93%. So I was responsible for 30,000 distributors and a whole bunch of staff, about 100 plus staff that were depending on me to make this work. And it was a do whatever it takes to win the court case. I'm pleased to say we did, but that was a year-long process of going through that investigation and having to completely remodel and reshape the business and create something new so dramatically. The changes that we made were so dramatic. We actually had to, in the middle of that crisis, you can imagine the stress that this created. We had to terminate every single distributor's contract and ask them to sign a brand new one because the policies were so different. Can you imagine doing that in a moment of significant crisis, wondering how many people are going to sign back in? That was a really stressful time. But what it did for me, though, was it opened my eyes very wide to what should the business opportunity legitimately look like in network marketing. There are a lot of companies that mimic other companies because they maybe see their success in financial terms, but they don't necessarily realize that they might be copying some really bad practices. Yeah. And so they copy for the sake of one particular result, but potentially compromise a lot of people in the experience that they give them. So when I had the chance to move into NICAN, what really attracted me was the message of their whole reason for being, which is centered on what we call the 5 pillars of health: a healthy mind or wellness, a healthy mind, healthy body, healthy family, healthy society, and healthy finances, and helping people get balance in those 5 areas. I've learned that that balance comes and goes. You don't get it and achieve it forever. Yeah, you get to enjoy moments of it. Yeah, but it gives us a chance to focus on the things that matter most, prioritize what's really important, because when we get balance in those 5 areas, that's when we start to really experience an abundant life. When we've got a really healthy mind, when we're really growing and learning and becoming the best version of ourselves. Oh, sorry, let me turn that off. When we're becoming the best version of ourselves, when our body is in the best shape that we can get it in, when our family and our relationships, the people that matter most to us, our relationships there are strong and robust and, again, prioritized, yeah, so that they are the front and center of our lives. We can then start to give out to our community, and then it starts to come back to us in our finances. And I like this principle. It's interesting that as a business, we have the healthy finance pillar last. There's a reason for that. You think that going into this with all of the opportunity that Mike has shared, that you would want to put that front and center. Well, in reality, it's best if it isn't front and center, because, and that sounds paradoxical or contradictory, but it really isn't. When we do the right things for the right reason, success ensues. If we try to pursue it, it often evades us. But when you do what's right, success and happiness follow as a consequence. So what we've done is we've put front and center, that principle of the paramedic. What the first rule of a paramedic in any situation they go into is ensure your own safety first. How can you help someone else if you're endangered yourself? You can't. When we're on the airplane and they're giving us the safety instructions, what do? When the air masks come down, put yours on first and then put it on the person next to you if you're looking after someone. Yeah. Why? It sounds contradictory. Go straight to the child, help them out first. But no, get your mask tight and secure first. We want to get that sorted with our minds and our hearts front and center. Get very, very clear on what we want to achieve, who we want to become, and really get that crystal clear. From there, we take care of our bodies. Our products do that for us. We've got that wellness home environment that really helps us take true holistic care of our bodies and our family and home environment. And as we start to do that, we reach out to our family circle and extend it there. And then it goes from there into the community at large as we build our organization. And as we're doing that, then the success starts to come in. And I've really found that to be true. I apologize if you can hear some crying in the background. I've got a slightly open plan space right now that I'm in, and I've got a 1-year-old who's crying in the background. But
that's, by the way, 1 of 8.
Yeah, my 8th child. Yeah. So if you want to know if NICAN can provide for a family, I think I'm living proof of that. We're a family of 10. We've hit double digits. So yes, it really does. It takes care of you really well. So I really love that principle, that point of humans being more, becoming the best version of ourselves and getting that balance in those 5 areas. Because to me, that's really what matters most is, I think it was Anthony Robbins said that the quality of our life is proportionate to the quality of our emotions. Yeah. So if you want to have a really high quality of living, it really starts internally. It's not your geographical environment that is created, it's your internal environment. And when we can take care of that and get great balance there internally, then we can really start to see magic happen. So yeah, moving into NICAN, I was thrilled as I got those chances to develop my career even further and get into that role of being a company president. That really meant that we could really start to have influence and really shape something significant. As time developed and as time went on, an opportunity was presented to me, as Mike said, a great rewarding opportunity that meant step out of the corporate world into the field. And it was an unusual move that not many company presidents really have done in the past. It kind of took industry news by storm, and there were a couple of articles on that that move when it happened in industry newsletters and magazines and what have you, that they were kind of intrigued by that decision, and it's turned out to be the best decision of my career. And now, what I love is, as you know, I certainly, as a family of 10, my family really has to come front and center. And to be able to do the school runs in the morning with my kids, to be here when they get home from school, to make the dinner and sit down at the table with my family every night and have meals together and have that time with them is huge. It's huge, and it's really quite rare, isn't it, to be able to have those luxuries. But it's a lifestyle that Niken can offer here that is really something that is very, very difficult to compete with. I've had, as a consequence of having both sides of the fence, experience on both sides of the table, having the corporate side, especially with some big companies, going through that crisis. When I went through that crisis, after that, every job that I went for, I was offered real fast. And on one occasion, I got offered a job. I'd gone for an interview when I was looking to leave Amway. I had my second interview, and I was driving home, and the headhunter that put me in touch with them phoned me up on the way home and said, "This is the fastest I've ever seen this type of recruitment process go. You've got the job." And they were offering it to me before I even got home. And as a consequence of having both sides of the fence experience, I continue to get people come to me and say, "Come work with us, come run our company, come do this, come do that." And it's remarkable that I have to say every time, "You can't afford me." It's not possible. You can't afford to pay me something that will match the lifestyle and the income that Niken offers. So thanks, but no thanks. I'm locked in here 100%. And so we've got a great opportunity here to really make something. And like I said, the best thing that it's done for me is it's given me the family time. In addition to that, I studied English at university. I did a double major in language and literature. And one of the reasons that I did that was I wanted to write professionally. And Niken, being a distributor, has given me the chance not just to get balance, but to also pursue other interests at the same time. And so I became a best-selling author, and that threw me onto the speaker circuit and has put me in front of academic institutions and medical institutions and healthcare institutions and all these different industries as a guest speaker at their annual conferences and events, or with their special events that they might be hosting, to participate and to kind of share, interestingly, things that primarily I have learned in Niken. And
Ben, I'm going to interrupt you because I've got two questions that I want to ask on behalf of everybody.
Yeah.
I'm going to ask them both at the same time, then you can. One would be, how would you participate in the efforts of Shamar or Zach or Roman or anyone on this call with respect to their journey going forward with Niken? And two, where do you see the future of Niken going, given your purview of the industry at large, the trends, the tendencies, and where we're at in the world at large?
Okay. So first question, how can I participate and help you in building your business? Well, first of all, it's definitely on calls like this. I think, going beyond that, if you're wanting to get crystal clear what your vision and aspirations are, if you're wanting to have one-on-one experience, I'm more than happy to provide that, because front and center to your success is really knowing really clearly what you want to achieve and why. I was at an event over the weekend in Atlanta, and I had a couple of distributors come to me. We were kind of doing some one-on-one coaching sessions after the meeting or in between sessions. And one person was like, "I really need to kick my business into gear and get going, but there's so many things I don't know. I don't understand the compensation plan. I don't understand this bit. How can I grow my business when I don't understand or fully know all these other aspects to the business?" And I said, "You need to know two things. Two things. That's it. One, you need to know what you're running for and why. That's front and center, the most important thing. The second most important thing, and I share this, you'll see why I'm sharing this, is know to ask for help. That's it. Yeah. I had a great experience, a great lesson taught me a number of years ago with some really professional networkers. One of them was a diamond in the business, and they had a brand new person come to them with some questions, and they phoned them up and they said, "Oh, I'm not quite sure how this aspect of the business works." And they go, "I don't know the answer to that question. Stay on the line. Let me phone my upline and let me ask them, see if they know." They phoned their upline, who was also a diamond in the business. And he said, "I've got this new guy on the phone. We've been just started working together. He's got this question, but I'm not quite sure what the answer is. Do you know the answer?" And he goes, "Oh, actually, I don't. Stay on the line. Let me call my sponsor." Right. And he called his sponsor, and his sponsor had the answer. They kind of passed it down the chain back to the guy that had the question. My friend, who was that diamond, said to me, "Tell me, Ben, do you think that guy, when he asked me the question, do you think I knew the answer or not?" He said, "I did know the answer." Why did I say I didn't? Why did my sponsor say he didn't? Because we were teaching the new guy an important, valuable lesson as to how to build this business. And that is, you don't need to know all the answers to be successful. You just need to know to plug into your team. Yeah. And so that would be something that I would really emphasize. Whenever you've got questions, whenever you're stuck on something, regardless of what it is, don't be afraid to ask and reach out for help. So that would be my answer, Mike, to that first question. How can I help? In any way, shape, or form that you need, I'm here. That's part of my role. Yeah. It's what we're here for. That's why we exist, Mike and I, is to help you guys to succeed. So, and to Mike's point at the beginning, the first thing that I said when I went out to the field, when I was sales director for Europe, I had 17 countries that I was responsible for and thousands of distributors. How do I know who to work with when I've got thousands of distributors that all want my attention and my time? How do I know how to spend my time and to prioritize it? The first thing that I said to them was, it's really simple. You move, I move. It's a principle of matched effort. Yeah. So I think that's really important to emphasize. I'm always willing and available to support you. You've got to understand that principle of matched effort, because you'll want to apply that too. As you're bringing people into your team and as you're growing your business, you've got to run with them, not for them. Yeah. So really, really important that you understand that. So if you're wanting to run 100 miles an hour, I'll run 100 miles an hour with you. And I'll do three-way calls. I'll answer all your questions. I'll do one-on-one coaching, whatever it is that you need. You've got me in your back pocket. Okay. My goal is to help you succeed. But if you're going to run 5 miles an hour, you'll have a very different experience. Yeah. So my invitation would be run 100 miles an hour. Run at this, make it count, because you'll get the attention and the time of the best people in the business in exchange for that. On to the next question, which is, where do I see the industry going, or perhaps specifically Nikken within the space of where the world is going? This is a great question, because what Nikken has done is it's established itself on universal principles that are becoming increasingly more valued and important around the world. We didn't do it, like I said before, based on a trend or a fad. We weren't talking about being green because it's popular to be green. Yeah. A lot of companies did that when all of a sudden it became important to be environmentally conscious. They suddenly all became environmentally conscious. When people are talking about diversity now, all of a sudden other companies are going, we need to talk about diversity. Yeah. We've been leading in that way for 46 years. If you want to have an equal opportunity environment where, regardless of your gender, regardless of your religious background, regardless of your ethnicity, regardless of your education, whatever it is, we all get the opportunity to have the same experience and get paid the same in exchange for it. Where else do you get that? So I think from that perspective, it's huge. From a wellness perspective, it's even bigger, because we really take wellness from a holistic point of view. There's a lot of companies that say they're wellness companies. Yeah. And they'll talk about good nutrition. as a primary responsibility for teaching wellness and well-being. However, they don't look at it from the whole perspective. I'll give you an example of that: sleep. They don't incorporate products in their program or in their portfolio that will help you have deep, rejuvenating, restorative sleep. Of all of the activities that we're engaged in our lives across the world, regardless of who we are, the one single thing that we do more than anything else in our lifetime, ironically, is sleep. We spend a third of our lives fast asleep. And yet, how many people really take time to consider how valuable that is? How many people take time to look after that and to make sure, I'm going to make sure it's the best night's sleep I can get? You know, you look at the cost to the economy in regards to accidents, workplace injuries and accidents as a result of sleep deprivation or bad sleep, and it's in the billions. You look at road accidents, when do they occur the most? Early in the morning, before 10 a.m., right? Or late at night. It's when people are tired. That's when those things start to happen the most. And weight management, if you want to be really healthy from a nutritional perspective, if you're getting a bad night's sleep, you're going to wake up craving the wrong foods, because that's what your body does. And it will make you, it will compromise your ability to manage your weight. Yeah. So from a wellness perspective, we're looking at things from the whole circadian rhythm of our existence. We are circadian creatures, meaning circa is Latin for about, diem is a day. Yeah. So we have this daily rhythm of our lives biologically that has existed for millennia upon millennia. And we can't fight it. We're trying to fight it with the way that the world is working. You know, sleep less, work longer, and prove you're a hero by doing that. And what happens? People are getting more stressed, more fatigued, more emotionally strained. They're getting sicker. All of these things are happening because people are resisting the circadian rhythm of their bodies. And Nikken has built its whole product portfolio around the circadian rhythm. We make sure you have a great night's sleep, and we make sure when you're awake, you're well hydrated. Most people aren't hydrated enough, and there's a whole host of ills that come from that. We make sure that you're grounded. We make sure that you're connected with the natural energies of the earth to give you the best experience when you're awake and when you're asleep. We make sure you're well hydrated. We give you natural organic nutritionals as well. We give you everything that you need to truly have a holistic wellness experience. And the great thing is, where do we start? In the home. We call it the Nikken Wellness Home. Yeah, and that means from a health perspective, we start where things matter most. Maybe that might be my own bedroom, and then it might reach out into other rooms in my home. From a business perspective, that's absolute genius, because the first place we want to take priority is our homes. And the second thing that the reason it's genius is because it's not a one-time purchase. It's a repeat purchase, which means you bring people into your business as customers or business partners, and they will shop again and again and again. And I'm sure, Mike, in the 30 years of experience that you've had in Nikken, how long?
I'm sorry, I missed that. You bleeded out for a second.
In your last 30 years that you've been in Nikken, how long have some of your customers been around in your business?
I have a customer in my business from my first day, still. So 30 years.
There you go.
So the customers for life, essentially. You know, we have a saying in Nikken: the wellness home has a beginning and no end. And that's and by the way,
so that becomes huge.
It doesn't even take into consideration the fact that Nikken is innovating all the time. Apparently, we have a introduction tomorrow of a new technology, so we'll be learning about that. Those of us who are on that call.
Yeah, so that is huge, to have a business model that can provide you repeat customers for 30 straight years is phenomenal. Provide you an income opportunity for 30 years, and you look at that income that Mike's been making. You drill that down to an annual income, you're looking at almost $1 million a year for 30 years. That's, most of us would be if I got that for a couple of years, I'd be sorted. Try getting that for a decade. Try getting that for 2 decades. You know, that changes generations. That's legacy building income and legacy building opportunity. So where are we going? What's interesting as we look at that context of wellness, the wellness home, and that balance in the 5 pillars, certainly what we see now, especially as a result of COVID, more and more people are going, I want to take control of my own finances. You know, we see employment resignations in the USA right now hitting all-time highs as people are going, I'm going to do my own thing. I've realized that there is a better world out there. I'm going to seize the opportunity and do something different, right? So we've got opportunity now that is better than ever, but our message is more relevant than ever. And it will continue to grow in relevance the more people realize I need to take charge of my own future. The system doesn't work in my favor, but this business does.
And
more
how
and more
old,
people are feeling
sorry, how old were you when you started your journey in network marketing?
I went to my first business opportunity meeting when I was 18. I was in New Zealand. It was an Amway business opportunity meeting. My older sister is what I call the network marketing junkie. She's gone from one company to the next, to the next, to the next. So I kind of grew up with it in my home environment from a decent age. I joined my first network marketing company as a distributor when I was 23. So I started as a distributor and then moved into the corporate side in my role initially as a designer and marketer, and then from there into general management. So,
well, I know we probably have a question or two sitting there. Does anyone have any questions?
I got one.
go for it.
All right, Van. Top 3 authors. What are your top 3 authors? Not including yourself.
No, yeah, number one, obviously. No, I'm kidding. No, right now, I would say James Clear is a favorite author of mine. He wrote the book Atomic Habits.
Oh, yes. Okay. Yeah, I've been hearing a lot about this book.
Yeah, that one I think is phenomenal. Another one is Og Mandino, The Greatest Salesman in the World. I think that book is legendary and is just a huge present tense positive affirmation that any great entrepreneur wants to digest and really master. The other one I would probably say is I think it was Andrew Carnegie who wrote How to Win Friends and Influence People.
Yeah.
I think that book is huge. There are some great lessons there. So that one from a big perspective, Og Mandino from a managing my mind perspective, he was fantastic. The Greatest Salesman in the World. It's a small book, but if you haven't read it, I'd highly recommend it. And Atomic Habits, I think is huge as well. Dan Ariely as well, I love. That's more getting into marketing science. He's a economic behavioralist, and he looks at how brands and companies influence and persuade people to buy and to spend. And he looks at shopper or consumer behavior. And that his book, Predictably Irrational, is a really good book as well. So that's jumping into number 4, but yeah.
You know, you asked a good question when everyone takes their notepads out and starts writing.
Yeah, that was a good question. That was a good question. Yeah.
Any other questions out there?
Yeah, I was just gonna ask. Anyone new who's just joined the call, meeting us for the first time, if there's anything you guys want to ask, please feel free. That's what we're here for. No? All right. Well, then I think with that, we'll wrap this up.
Well, let me just make a suggestion then. There's obviously access to information online. Elena or Zach or Shamar can share with you a link that we put together that just has a number of different assets on it that you can learn a little bit about Nikken from different points of view, products, opportunity, etc. Some videos, I think one of the videos that Ben and I did as a Zoom call, where you hear some other stories from other people. Just a really nice way to approach this from sort of a 50,000 foot view and then start, zooming in. If you've heard enough, the idea of getting involved in NECAN, enrolling in NECAN is not a complicated one. It's $20. And that gives you access to the back office. You get your own personal web page that you can then put your picture on and so forth, which is a sharing opportunity. When we share NECAN with others and they want to know how they can place an order or how they can get involved, we share our personal web page link. So that's $20. It's a startup fee for that access. And in the back office, you have a lot of NECAN tools and learn more about the products. So it's easy to get involved. With respect to what would you do next, we do have a plan. We do have a business plan. I have a presentation that I do that covers our launch strategy, the process that we engage people in. We invite people to learn about NECAN, and it's a simple process of information where we hope to answer why would you look at this? What is it that, or how does NECAN serve your why? And then what does it take to get going? Those are the three basics of the business conversations. And we have some great products to share. So all of us started our NECAN journey when we became a consumer of the products. You can sign up and you probably won't be comfortable at all sharing information with other people until you have your own personal story. And our personal story in NECAN begins with our personal experience of the products primarily. How you heard my story that I've been telling for 30 years hasn't changed because it's my story. It's how I was introduced to this. It's what got my attention and what drove me or compelled me to take the step forward to actually start talking about this with other people. I don't know, Zach, you've had a little bit of experience with the products, if nothing else, some of the demos. How did those demos appeal to you?
Yeah, like I said, when I first came, I was kind of like very closed-minded, but yeah, like through the demos, like the pH test, there's no denying that. That's like clear-cut evidence of what you're putting in your body. Bottled water versus tap water versus Mag, waterfall, like that's like no brainer. Like visually you can see the difference. But other demos like the magnetic insoles, like even with Shamar on the weekend, it's like look at what happens, you know what I mean? Like they speak for themselves. So yeah, like it is really nice to be able to interact with products that you actually have seen work and you are confident in talking to others about. It's not like I have like some cream that I'm going to take out and be like, this is magic cream that is amazing for your skin. It's like, these are things that you can visually actually see. And that's what you put in your body. Like, it's not like you're drinking like milk or you're drinking like a Coke. It's like, like you said, 70% of your body is water. So it's super important. And not enough people, I feel like, really understand how big of a deal it is and how important it is to be feeding yourself with good stuff, right? So yeah, like I'm sold. It's the products that sold me. If not anything, it's the products. Because like I said, I was super closed-minded, and yeah, the products, you definitely, it's one thing to get on a Zoom call like this and just talk and be like, this is our experience, this is that, but you to physically see the products and have a live demo, it's game changing for sure. So I would definitely recommend anyone who's interested, that would be like the next step.
Shamar, what about you? You had we did that. I did the demo on you here in my house.
Yeah.
And what was my comment? The bigger they are, the harder they fall. He had a real reaction to the magnetic insoles. It was pretty cool. And how did you feel with that? Like, how did it make you feel when you saw the difference in seconds?
Yeah, honestly, that was just mind blowing. Like seeing how big of a difference like those products make, like it was just really eye opening. Like I never thought I would see such quick results like that.
It's instant, right?
Yeah.
Our founder, the founder of NECAN, he envisioned the whole world would one day be walking with his insoles in their shoes. Can you see that?
Honestly, yeah.
Yeah,
I definitely can.
I mean, that's a big project, guys. That's 8 billion people, and most of them have never heard of this. So if you're looking to build a business, you got to find something that's relevant and that has a future. That's not just a fad. So if you're looking for an opportunity, if you're really genuinely looking for an opportunity to be a part of something special, then I suggest you do what we've all done. Take a leap of faith, $20, get involved, start playing with the products. As you see your own personal experience ramp up, you're going to want to be more involved. There's a community that we've set up, the Sovereign Life community. It's growing. It's primarily people of your generation, that's why I'm so excited, because I was so fortunate to have discovered Nikken at the age of 27. I'm one of the young kids on the block for my generation, and I've had the benefit of a lifestyle. I made my first million by 30. So, I've been enjoying what this looks like early on in life. A lot of people don't get to learn about this until later in life, or until they come upon hard times or something. You guys are young. You have such a possibility in front of you to do so much more than I've ever done, Ben's ever done, and create a movement. And, who doesn't want to be part of a movement or be responsible for having created one? That's where the fun is. That's where life really gets maxed out. That's where you get the benefit of everything. So I'm just putting it out there for you. We are doing another call Tuesday, I believe. Is that at 9 Eastern next Tuesday? Guys, somebody confirm? Are we doing a call next Tuesday at 9? I think that's the time.
I think so, yeah.
Yes, sorry. I had to run to the washroom real quick.
All right,
but
okay, so if we're doing a call, same call, next Tuesday, Ben, I don't think I gave you a heads up on that, so if you can check your calendar. So now, I'll tell you what I would be thinking if I were you. I'd be thinking, how many people can I get on this next call? Because if there's anybody I know that's really looking to make a change coming 2022, want to be a part of something big and be a foundation, be the founders of this generation, get them on the call. They'll hear our stories. They'll hear what you heard. We'll be there to answer questions, and the more the merrier. This channel can hold 100 people. I think maybe even 500. I can't remember how much I'm paying for, but anyway, it can hold a lot of people. So it's no shortage of space to get people in this Zoom room, and it's all to your advantage. If they hear what they hear and they like what they hear, they'll be part of your team. Really help you kickstart your business. I'll tell you, I joined Nikken December 19. I used the last 2 weeks of December to put together my core circle of influence, my key members, which was about 10, plus me 11. We went into January of 1992 with a plan. We were going to move heaven and earth to present Nikken to as many people as we could in the hours of the day that we had for that month of January. We exploded onto the scene. I ended that month with 300 members in my organization. And that made a huge, huge difference, not only for Nikken, not only for the people who are involved, but it certainly set a new trajectory for life for many people. So if I think back of, just people on my team in the world, leaders like Gloria Nava, people like that, who would never know about Nikken, had I not made the decision I made that night in that friend's living room. Wow, you just don't know where the impact where it can go. The ripple effect of the choices that you make, thousands upon hundreds of thousands of lives improved because I made a decision to change my life. Go figure. So that's really what's at stake here. It's not just your life, but the many, many lives that will inevitably learn about Nikken because you threw the pebble in the pond and you started that ripple effect. Yeah. So I'll put it back to you, Elena.
Yeah, I think that was a great way to kind of close this out, especially knowing what the context that I can provide for you guys in terms of what we're building here is, like my uncle said, we have a community, a movement of our own that we're building by partnering with Nikken and starting to shift it towards a generation of individuals like ourselves, right? And we're at the birthing of this. And especially coming into the new year, what we have structured and in place, this kind of support that we're gathering and creating as a community to just literally run with this come 2022, it hasn't existed before. So, my cousins and I started this back in May was when we decided to get involved. There were 3 of us at the time.
Yeah.
we now have upwards of 30 people on our team. And that's still nothing compared to the vision that we hold in terms of the community that we plan to build. So yeah, we're going to be doing it regardless. It's just your choice whether or not you want to be a part of that. And I believe that we need as many people as possible. So why not now? Right? So you guys have a lot of information there. You have Zach, you have Shamar, whoever it is that connected you. You know when we'll be gathering next. You'll also have connections with me as well as my uncle if you need to connect further with any of us. Zach and Shamar can kind of connect that, and we can kind of go from there. So yeah. Thank you for joining, guys. Thank you, Zio. Thank you, Ben. Especially Ben, I haven't spoken to you in a very long time, and it's always a pleasure to listen and learn. So thank you.
Thank you. My pleasure. Anytime.
Awesome.
All right. Well, I've got the recording, so I'll share that with you, Elena, shortly.
Amazing. All right, guys. Enjoy
Thanks,
the rest of
everyone.
your
Great
night.
seeing you.
Take
Bye.
care. Bye.